Welcome to the chosen path. Have you ever noticed how the people who once talked endlessly about you now whisper behind closed doors? They stay quiet, nervously observing, because you've done something they didn't see coming. You stepped into your power, and suddenly, their words lost their weight. It's almost amusing when you think about it. They thought they were controlling the narrative, but in reality, they became a mirror reflecting their own insecurities. The moment you embraced your light, their energy shifted. They rushed to find something to criticize, something to throw at you, anything that could make them feel in control again. But here's the truth they forgot. You don't need their approval to rise. Their chatter doesn't define you. It only highlights the moment you stop them in their tracks without even trying. It's ironic, isn't it? They imagined themselves as the leaders of your story, yet they ended up showing everyone exactly why their words hold no power. Let's break this down. First, there's what I like to call the fear mirror. Everything they tried to project onto you, the rumors, the jealousy, the attempts to discredit you, was a reflection of their own weaknesses. Deep down, they knew their attacks revealed more about them than about you. Every insult, every whispered lie, every behind the back comment was their own fear, their own limitations, staring them in the face. And you stood tall, calm, unshakable. That's what really terrifies them, someone who doesn't play by the rules of fear. When they see you thriving, unapologetic and strong, it forces them to confront themselves, their own doubts, insecurities, and unrealized potential. They lash out, hoping that, by pulling you down, they might feel better, but it doesn't work. The harder they try, the more they expose themselves. They are the ones shrinking, self-sabotaging with every attempt to hurt you. You, on the other hand, remain unaffected simply by being yourself. Their hate becomes the proof of your power, and they can't stop staring because you've become the mirror they never wanted to face. Second, let's talk about strength and weakness. Many people confuse hate with power. They think insulting you, spreading rumors, and trying to manipulate the story makes them strong, but it doesn't. True strength is calm, composed, and unshakable in the face of opposition. Hate is not strength, it's weakness masquerading as aggression. Haters lash out because they see what they lack in themselves. They can't match your energy, your drive, your clarity, so they redirect their frustration towards you. They hate not because of who you are, but because of what you represent: courage, clarity, success, and confidence. Every step you take, every achievement you earn, reflects the possibilities they refuse to see in their own lives. And instead of doing the hard work of growth and self-improvement, they try to distract themselves by tearing you down. But here's the beauty. Their attacks only emphasize your power. Their weakness becomes obvious, and your strength shines brighter. The more they try, the more they show their own limitations. And you simply keep rising effortlessly, leaving them stuck in their own shadows. Gossip is their last weapon. It's the only tool they have left, because they can't compete with your confidence, your drive, or your ability to live without needing anyone's approval. So they do the only thing they know how to do: they whisper. They spread rumors. They talk trash behind your back. But here's the reality. They're not hurting you at all. Gossip doesn't take away your value. It doesn't slow your progress. And it certainly doesn't stop you from rising. All it does is show the world how insecure they really are. And that's the part they don't realize. Every time you succeed, every time you keep your head high, every time you live unapologetically, their hate loses power. They thought you'd stumble. They thought you'd shrink. But you didn't. You rose higher than ever. That's why they keep talking. They're desperate to feel relevant, to feel important again. Yet, while they're stuck wasting their time talking about you, you're out here moving forward, doing bigger and better things, not even looking back. They like to imagine they're strong, but they're not. They're stuck in a loop of negativity, swimming in their own bad feelings while you've already moved on. Deep down, they know the truth. Their anger hurts them far more than it ever touches you. And that's where your secret weapon comes in. The power of silence. Sometimes the quietest response is the loudest answer. When people attack you, they're hoping to drag you down into a fight. They want you to react, to get angry, to defend yourself. They want to pull you onto their level. But nothing confuses them more than when you don't give them anything at all. You keep moving. You keep winning. You leave them wondering why their words didn't land, why their plan didn't work. That's the beauty of your silence. Without a single word, you sent the strongest message. While they were throwing stones, you were building. While they were busy creating drama, you were focused on your life, your goals, and your progress. They lost control because you refused to play their game. They wanted a reaction, but instead they got nothing. Nothing but the sound of their own voices echoing back at them. And that's what drives them crazy. People who thrive on drama and gossip feed on attention. When you don't feed them, when you don't respond, you starve their ego. It makes them question themselves. It makes them wonder why their words didn't sting, why they didn't get the satisfaction they were looking for. Without realizing it, you turned the tables on them. Your silence wasn't weakness. It was a strategy. You gave them nothing but their own bad feelings to sit with, and now they're left alone with the truth of how pointless their actions are. They're forced to retreat into the shadows, whispering to each other, trying to figure out why they couldn't touch you. Meanwhile, you're still standing, brighter than ever, because you're light. It's untouchable. People who live in the dark often can't handle someone who walks in glowing with self-belief. Your energy is a mirror that shows them everything they're not ready to face. So they do the only thing they can. They talk, they gossip, they try to dim your shine with words. But the truth is, your light isn't controlled by their opinions. It can't be dimmed by their gossip. It's yours. It comes from inside you, and no rumor, no whisper, no shadow can ever turn it off. Some people feel small inside, and when that happens, they want everyone around them to feel small too. It's easier for them to put you down, cast doubt on your abilities, or whisper behind your back than to do the hard work of improving themselves. But here's the truth: your confidence, your achievements, and the way you carry yourself without needing validation expose exactly how timid and insecure they really are. That's why they can't stop talking about you. They don't care about who you are. They care about what your presence reveals about their own limits. When they see someone living fully and unapologetically, it reminds them of everything they've been avoiding about themselves. They thought that by spreading rumors or talking behind your back, they could control how the world sees you, or even how you see yourself. But they didn't understand one key fact: you don't need to change for anyone. In fact, the more authentic you were, the stronger and more magnetic you became. Your unwavering light didn't dim for them. It made you shine brighter. Their words couldn't stop your progress. They only made you more captivating because you refused to play by their shallow rules. They weren't ready for someone who doesn't lie to fit in or manipulate to make others feel comfortable. Your light was undeniable, even if they tried to hide it behind their chatter. You didn't need to pull anyone down. Their own insecurities did that for them. Every success you had, every step forward, reminded them that they could never rely on anyone else's permission to shine. They got lost in their own darkness, consumed by envy and fear, while you kept moving forward, focused on your goals. And then, there's the way you handled conflict. They wanted war, but you rewrote the rules. The people who came at you thought they knew the game: negative talk, gossip, silent sabotage. They assumed you'd react like everyone else, like it was the same old predictable battle. But you didn't play their game. You created your own. You stayed focused on what mattered most: your growth, your happiness, your vision. While they were busy plotting and whispering, you were taking steps they couldn't even imagine. You were always 10 moves ahead, while they were stuck reacting. By refusing to fight on their level, you became unstoppable. You didn't need to defend yourself. You were already operating in a space they couldn't reach. They could only watch, frustrated and powerless, because their strategies had no effect on you. They thought they were in control, but in reality, you had already moved on to something bigger. They're left with stories, excuses, and rumors because admitting the truth, that you outperformed them without even trying, would bruise their pride. Deep down, they know the reality: you didn't just beat them, you left them far behind. Finally, the cost of being real is what made you untouchable. When you chose authenticity over conformity, you unknowingly became a threat. For some, the comfort of a world built on appearances, shallow conversations, and fake smiles is all they know. Your honesty, your courage, and your refusal to settle exposed the emptiness of their fake world. They wanted you to blend in, to follow their rules, to stay quiet. But you didn't. You chose truth. And in that choice, you became unshakable. You didn't need to dim your light for anyone, and that's what made them lose their balance. While you kept moving forward, unstoppable and radiant. It might have seemed like everything was fine before. Everyone knew the rules, played their roles, and kept the balance. But then you came along and disrupted it all, simply by being yourself. Just by refusing to conform, refusing to put on a mask. You exposed the cracks in their fake world. They were scared of you, not because of what you said or did, but because you refused to shrink for them. You didn't water yourself down, and that kind of authenticity is rare. Realness shines in ways that those who live behind masks simply cannot handle. Being around, you reminded them of what they weren't: confident, honest, and true to themselves. It made them uncomfortable, anxious, and threatened. So, they turned to what they knew best: gossip. It was their weapon of choice, because it's quick, easy, and lets them try to hurt someone without ever confronting their own fears. But here's the truth: words can't harm someone who is grounded in their own truth. Your strength doesn't come from approval. It comes from being fully, unapologetically yourself. They thought they could make you look like the outsider, the weird one, who didn't belong, by spreading rumors. But ironically, it only highlighted how fragile their own world was. Your honesty, your integrity, and your refusal to play games shone a light on the hollowness of their relationships. And that scared them. They weren't angry at you. They were threatened by the reflection of themselves they saw in your confidence. Without you even saying a word, you made them confront the lies they'd been hiding behind. Being real in a world full of pretenders is risky. Many people can't handle it. They fear the mirror you hold up to them. That fear often disguises itself as hate. Every nasty story, every whisper, every sideways comment, they all stem from fear. Deep down, they know your authenticity exposes their flaws and weaknesses. When you stayed grounded in your truth and refused to react to their negativity, You demonstrated a power they didn't have. Their attempts to control the narrative failed because you simply rose above it. Once, they thought they had power over you. They believed that rumors and gossip could tarnish your image or slow you down. But you proved them wrong. By sticking to your values and refusing to play their game, you became untouchable. Now they're left with the harsh reality. No one can manipulate your path or dictate your worth. That knowledge haunts them because they realize that their fear-based tactics only make them look weaker, not stronger. Their attempts to rally others to their side are meaningless because you've already risen above their chaos. They are stuck, trapped in their own fear and jealousy, while you continue to thrive. Every time they lash out, every rumor they spread, it only proves how powerless they are in comparison to you. Your resilience, authenticity, and unwavering self-belief make you untouchable in a way that frightens them. They hate not you, but the truth of what you represent: courage, honesty, and the ability to shine without apology. Finally, you made them irrelevant. They talk about you behind your back because they know their influence over your life is gone. They know they can no longer affect your story. You've moved on, grown stronger, and taken control of your life in ways they cannot touch. They're left murmuring in the shadows while you continue to live fully, boldly, and brilliantly, proving every day that the only power they ever had was an illusion. And you've shattered it simply by being yourself. Once upon a time, they honestly believed they were the most important people in your life. They wrote themselves into your story, casting themselves in roles they thought mattered. They assumed you'd always be there, to watch their performances, clap at their drama, and give them the attention they craved. But then something changed. You chose yourself. You stepped away from their stage and started walking your own path. The moment you did that, their voices, once so loud, so demanding, faded into background noise, nothing more than a distant echo from a story you no longer cared to read. By choosing sincerity, self-worth, and your own growth, you quietly erased them from the center of your life. That was their worst nightmare. Not being hated, but being ignored. All their power came from your attention. They thrived on stirring trouble, playing the victim, making sure the spotlight stayed on them. But the moment you stopped looking, the curtain fell. They lost their audience, and their dramatic performances became meaningless. When you refused to let their chaos define you, their chaos lost its power. You rewrote your story in bold, beautiful words that left no room for their negativity. You made yourself the author, the main character, and the hero of your own life. Their gossip and opinions no longer had a place in your world. They were just whispers in the wind while you kept climbing higher. They tried to pull you down with words, but you were too busy flying to notice. The instant you decided that your life belonged to you alone, they lost every ounce of control they thought they had. Now, as they sit in circles chatting about you, they're only holding on to the crumbs of their old importance. Their desperate attempts to stay relevant only make them look smaller, weaker, and sadder. By moving on, you didn't just free yourself, you exposed how flimsy their entire act really was. You showed everyone watching that true power is not about noise, but about self-definition and self-respect. And then comes the truth they don't want to hear: they were energy vampires. Their entire existence revolved around drama, chaos, and negativity. The toxic cloud they created was their food, their fuel, their way of feeling alive. In a world that often ignored them, stirring trouble gave them a thrill. Spreading rumors, gossiping about others, hurting people without a second thought. It made them feel powerful. Until you stopped feeding them. You cut them off. You stopped caring about their theatrics, stopped falling for their traps, stopped giving them your energy. And the moment you did, they began to starve. You didn't just survive, you flourished. You focused on your own growth, your own peace, your own happiness, and in doing so you became a light so bright that it exposed their shadows. Without your energy to feed on, they started to wither. Now, like hungry animals, they turn on each other. They scramble for scraps of attention and approval from anyone who will listen. Their whispers and rumors are no longer sharp. They're hollow echoes of the power they once thought they had. It's almost sad to watch. Their desperation has become obvious. The more they try to appear important, the more empty they reveal themselves to be. Their gossip has turned into a frantic hunt for connections that don't exist. They can't understand that the thrill they used to feed on is gone. It's no longer currency. You took away their power because you showed that real strength comes from within, not from tearing others down. In doing so, you forced them to face their own fears. Now, all they're left with is their own noise. A fake memory of the control they once imagined they had, echoing in the silence you left behind. Fueled by your own true energy, you moved forward with purpose. You stopped feeding off their chaos and started feeding yourself. Your strength, your goals, your vision. That's when everything shifted. They had already written a script for you, casting you as the villain, the obstacle in their story of happiness and success. But you didn't play along. You refused to shrink, defend, or explain yourself to fit the version they wanted. By staying true to yourself, by rising quietly above their attacks, you completely flipped the narrative. You didn't let their drama touch you because you weren't in the arena they created. While they acted out their tired roles, gossipers, manipulators, chaos makers, you were writing a story of strength, focus, and triumph. Their rumors, their attempts to bring you down, all of it became background noise. They became minor characters in a much bigger plot, your story of resilience, growth, and victory. Every lie they told, every whisper they spread, only highlighted their desperation. They were so focused on trying to control your story that they couldn't see how powerless they had become. And you didn't have to do anything. You didn't fight, argue, or prove anything. By simply being yourself and moving forward, you showed them that the real power is in living honestly, in standing firm in your truth, and in keeping your energy focused on what truly matters. Gossip was their last weapon, the final thing they could use to try to pull you down. They threw everything at you: lies, rumors, silent attacks, hoping to shake you. But you stayed strong, you stayed steady. You didn't just survive, you thrived. And slowly, it became clear to them that they couldn't break you. They couldn't trick you, outsmart you, or stop your progress. Their whispers grew quieter. Their words, once sharp and cutting, began to sound hollow. Every success you achieved made their noise fade further. The narrative they thought they controlled slipped from their hands, leaving them grasping for relevance that no longer existed. The more they tried to stay important, the more obvious it became that all their efforts were in vain. And in the midst of it all, you shone. You became a living example of power, integrity, and confidence. Every step you took forward reminded the world, and reminded them, that real strength isn't about tearing others down. It's about building yourself up. While they got lost in their bitterness, you created your own reality, one where their negativity has no place and cannot reach you. They are left with nothing but their own frustration, their own insecurities, and the empty echoes of a power they thought they had. You moved on. You rose above. You proved that no amount of gossip, fear, or jealousy can touch someone who is grounded in their truth, focused on their goals, and unstoppable in their growth. The more people talk about you, the brighter you shine. In the end, their only tool is a desperate attempt to feel important in a world that has already moved on. You were chosen to stand out, to rise above the noise and petty distractions around you. Whether by fate or by your own choice, your journey shows what it means to strive for more. You've become a model for breaking the narrow, limited view that some people cling to, showing that there is a bigger world beyond their small, confining lives. Their attempts to bring you down become weaker with every step you take. When they whisper behind your back, it's not really an attack. It's just a quiet protest against the fact that you've risen above them. Your success highlights their limits, and they don't want to face it. While they hold on to small, stagnant lives, you are moving forward, planning a future that doesn't fit their standards. Every step you take is a reminder that desire and authenticity are forces no amount of gossip or small talk can stop. Their words fade into background noise as your success becomes louder and clearer. Deep down, they know you were chosen for something bigger, something that goes far beyond their small world. Your rise isn't just about your own achievements. It's a beacon of hope for anyone tired of the noise, anyone ready to break free from limits. No matter how much they talk, they can't touch someone who is meant for more. Your growth, your victories, and your determination make a statement louder than anything they could say. Every whisper, every story, every attempt to hold you back is proof of your power. You've shown that negativity and small-mindedness can't contain someone who is honest, brave, and focused on their path. Even while they talk in the shadows, you've rewritten the story, your story, making it more important, more inspiring, and impossible for anyone to control. The more you rise, the less their opinions matter, and the brighter your light becomes. Keep shining. Every step forward is a sign that you were chosen to rise above, to thrive in a world that can't hide your greatness. Let their doubt and fear fuel your brilliance. Your courage to be yourself, to stay true and move forward, is the proof that real power comes from living your truth. If this message resonated with you, and you want more guidance on standing out, achieving your goals, and navigating life's challenges, subscribe to the channel. Join our community as we continue sharing ideas and insights to help you grow, shine, and reach your full potential. Don't miss out on the next video. It could be the spark that pushes you even further. Keep going and keep shining.